Family. My body is hewn with this thread. It takes on the shape of my most cherished self, you, the collective love, defining it. I am fine muslin, draped in surrender across a substance known for its shameless and elegant togetherness. I am the cloth that dreams itself this body. In visions, our rough-cut form is taken up by mercy's hand and tenderly worked into quelled and perfect honesty, more sacred than any rare or beloved stone. May this human circle immerse so deeply into its own spirit self that it gets lost in its own rich dream, venturing away from its fearful and limiting notions of itself, never to return. Kinship cleansed of doubt will be the hardy seed buried deep and sure for future generations. It will embed into soil and flesh, and father the sprouted messengers of healing we came to experience ourselves as being. Life's most empowered living and breathing song is the trust we raise up with one collective hand, in thanks to the creators we are, and to the one all that is the sacred blending possible. I have spent my lifetime getting to know myself, and I have come to the conclusion that I love her. I see the world reflected in her eyes. The wind that picked up last night swept out all remaining traces of dust and doubt. The result is a vivid inner dawning that greets the morning as its own. I rise gleaming from my bed, tones from my body emerging in pronounced and unspoken harmony. Smiles perch on my lips like kids seeking excuses to burst out and flower into themselves. I'm so empty. My soul has space to stretch and breathe deep and move around. She ambles about the place, delighted. Purity of being like this is worth every decision it takes, every perfect motion that love incites to be here. I am the surgeon that brings a knife to cut through ego layers that surround the heart's truest expressions of itself. It will only hurt more if you twist and try to get away. After all, you begged for me to come. You begged on knees bended and kissing God's face for me to assist you. You told me to cut through no matter how you might show up in protest. Was it so long ago that you've forgotten? Lean in and hear the echoed whispers of the plan we made from the beginning, that you would let go of your deepest self, and I, with a knife, would inspire her reclamation. No words of sweet longing from your mouth or mine will distract me from this promise. The soul's longing inside both of us is far stronger, far greater. It speaks to us. It calls us home. Sometimes the greatest gift love gives is to crack the shell. I make a point, more than many that I personally know, I make a point to stay deeply in touch with what can be seen as the evil in the world. What I mean by this is that I dare to look in the face of it in a way that the psyche in me too would rather look away, would rather shirk, because it's so painful. Because why would we want to invite pain? And I do it because the resistance to pain is what is perpetuating all of this. When I look deeply into where does this come from, this phenomenon of violence, of aggression, power over each other, corruption, the sequestering of resources by any means necessary, conquest, slavery, and on and on. All these different manifestations of what? Why? Right? These are the age-old fundamental questions that religions attempt to answer, and on it goes. And so often, the answers that we're given are actually about more of that sequestration, that's the word, of materials, of people, of control, of power. The very answers that we seek illumination with for our understandings are often that which, then leads to more control of us. For example, the Garden of Eden story, whether any of it has any fundamental in truth or even in profundity. It has, how many times has it been used over the eons to have us fear sinning and fear a fall from grace, a fall from enoughness, which feeds the very thing that causes people to behave so abhorrently. This feeling of not enoughness. And I would say that, again, where does that come from? I would say we fear not being enough because that would be the ultimate in pain. We fear pain. Somewhere along the way, we came to believe that we are not up for pain, that pain needs to become the thing we avoid. And any rational being, any sane person is of course going to prefer not to be in pain. Yes. This is not an invitation that, in my exploration here, it's not an invitation to become masochists. No. It's more like, do we fear it? Do we resist it when it shows up? And pain is so a part of life. Look at the people that have no pain receptors. They have to live in little bubbles. They have to stay in one room experiences of their entire life because they have nothing to help them know how they're doing if their bodies are being moved in such a way that doesn't work for the body. So the pain is this wonderful signal, inviting self-correction, right? Inviting a change so that we don't hurt ourselves. It's really actually a gift in its purest form. And to the degree that it can become severe as a signal, I don't want that to happen. And then it can become like a religion in ourselves, this like a pursuit of as little pain as possible at all times and as much pleasure as possible at all times. And then our nervous systems become our gods, right? Whatever the nervous system longs for is what we will seek. And that can get really wonky really fast. That can become hedonistic, in as much as it's at any cost. It can become at any cost that we will seek these internal biochemical floods of dopamine, of serotonin, all this pleasure seeking, and numb out as much as possible anything that is seemingly negative, uncomfortable. This turns us into monsters if it's left unabated. And then we wonder, how does evil come to exist? It comes to exist in the forgetting that we are not actually alive. When we are in a healthy state of being, we realize and remember we're not actually alive for the simple pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain. And we are eternal. I have it that the reason why, how do we forget that we're not just here for that we're actually here to pursue loving, caring, taking care, even when it's hard, even when it's painful. How do we forget that? We all enjoy ourselves the most. We feel fulfilled the most. When we're all on our deathbeds, this is what we think about. Did I love? Man, I didn't love right there. I haunted myself with that. Did I offer loving? Was I loved? This is what ultimately matters to everybody, unless they have become so numb and checked out of their true nature that they convince themselves that, no, it's not about that. I don't care about love. Then what do I care about? I care about power, which gives me pleasure. So now we're back at pleasure and the avoidance of pain. How in the world does this happen? That we could forget something so fundamental as, I'm here to love. to offer as much of it as possible in the world and to receive it where it's available. And I've been looking at this lately deeper than ever in my life, and I have it that it boils down to we don't trust that there is a continuation of our existence. We don't trust that. Even if we think there may be, we're not actually living in such a way and experiencing ourselves in such a way that we know from the cellular matrix all the way up that we carry on even after the body dies. We've bought into death, and that we are our bodies that die. And then we become, how could we not become afraid in as much as that right there? So this is it? How vulnerable that is? That is such a painful concept that we would just end. All that we feel is so meaningful about this life, this breath, this nervous system, this whole thing, this just ends, and then there's nothing else. Why wouldn't we end up pursuing anything and everything that keeps us safe, alive, and in pleasure as long as possible? And if we realize, oh gosh, I can't actually have pleasure all the time, I'm like, if we don't have that kind of power, why would we not then find that our next best option is to numb out then as much as possible, to disconnect from feeling at all as much as possible? And that leads to ultimately destructive behavior and violence towards the self, violence towards each other. We are no longer connected. So I'm saying here long-windedly that everything roots back to the fear of an end, to the fear of ending, and what that utter annihilation means, what it feels like. If it could feel like anything at all. Certainly the thought of it is painful, and we fear that pain. So we don't think about it, and we buffer against it constantly every day, that it will occur. And I'm saying it doesn't actually occur. Yes, the body does die. Yes, we need to contend with that and not gloss over it. The body is going to end. This body's not here to stay. It's an incredible thing to recognize. And to the degree it's painful to have that body end, yeah, the mind fears that. Until it learns not to, we can teach the mind not to fear that, because pain is actually something that we can be with. Even that level of pain, and I have helped people pass. I have witnessed them face that pain of their bodies shutting down and manage it even with grace. I have experienced being a witness to graceful release of the body and the pain involved in that process. And does it mean that we shouldn't attempt to mitigate it with things like morphine? No, again, we're not masochists. It's more like, to the degree that pain is involved, we actually can not just survive that, we can learn to have grace in it, with it. That is possible. Most of all, though, and the bottom line here is, we don't end. The spirit in us truly is eternal. How do we know that? How do we know?
side. Take a moment to reflect where you're from. Let reason guide you. See all tracks lead you out from the dark. See all tracks lead you out to the stars. Why can't you take the leaf off your mouth now that you have the facts on your side? Take a moment to reflect where we're going. Let reason guide you. See all tracks lead you out from the dark. See all tracks lead you out to the stars. Make the light lead you out. 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 Why can't you take the leaf off your mouth now that you have the facts on your side? Take a moment to reflect who we are. Let reason guide you. See all tracks lead you out from the dark.
I have entered the realm of magic that is accessible to everyone. The remarkable choice to be grateful, even and especially for the parts of life I don't like. There are so many voices inside you, Angel. I've leaned in close to listen to each of them. Together, they are a cacophony of sound. I've been lost inside that ruckus for a time. I will stick from now on to the one that keeps the latest vigil. I will put my blindfold back on and stay up nights with the one that sings to me her most sacred and fearless songs. The harmony we create is perfect. This is why we stay up late, she and I, past reckoning hours, to sing our heart's desires. Let her be, love. Silence all other voices. She is the one, most brilliant, you. If I impart anything to this crazy world, let it be that life is downright magical, crazy, and glorious. Free yourself. Put every ounce of energy, every cell of your body into it. Do it orgasmically.
Gently, gently be a witness to that hanging tree. Leave without worry, your hearts will harden in your sleep. Who will stop the bloodshed for us all? It says we're bound to pay our debts to kingdoms long, for this world, with life itself.